So welcome to Facebook Live and Pinhole Quilting. I'm Liz. Look what I did last night. Pete's away and I baked some mince pies. Now this is not something that will normally happen because Pete is the baker. He made the mincemeat, Delia's recipe. It's very, very good. I can highly recommend it. I'm not sure my stars, they're more like starfish. They look like the starfish we see when we go snorkeling. But anyway, they tasted lovely, so I was very happy with those. So Pete's got some of those waiting for him when he comes home. So I hope your preparations for Christmas are going well. Whatever you're doing, whether you're spending time with family and friends or whatever, going to some far-flung part of the world to get somewhere warmer than it is right here, right now. I hope you're looking forward to the Christmas season. It's always a sort of a bit of a mixed thing, isn't it? It's not always the easiest time for some people, but I hope that whatever you do, you're able to celebrate with family and friends. I'm thinking about making things. So last night, after I finished the day job, I got out my projects box, my part finished projects box, and I thought, right, what can I do? What can I make from the things in my projects box? So I'm going to go through those. But first, before we start that, I just wanted to mention a video I'll be posting up on YouTube later is the one that was on our Facebook page earlier this week and that was on Instagram that Pete Cohen posted. Now, he's a really inspiring guy, actually. He's done a lot of motivational speaking and stuff like that, but it wasn't Pete that I originally knew. In fact, John Scott, who works on Sewing Street, has known Pete Cohen for a long time because Pete used to have a slot on the same program that John was on Good Morning Britain, where he would do like a motivational coaching session, and John would do the fabrics and fashion, I think it was. So they knew each other years back, and then Pete's wife Hannah bought a long arm. She got into sewing, and John met her through that. So it's like a double connection, and of course we know John as well. Anyway, Hannah came up to do some training with us, and she was an absolutely delightful person, and it was really sad when, unfortunately, after a very, very long battle in May this year, sadly Hannah passed away. So she had started this it's actually quite a difficult project because it was like slightly challenging fabrics with the basketball jerseys that Pete had been collecting. There's all Michael Jordan basketball jerseys, and they are like a stretch jersey fabric, so I had to use a ballpoint needle with them. Anyway, Hannah and Hannah's friend Sarah had helped finish off the quilt top, and I then quilted it using the Handy Quilter Amaro with Pro Stitcher, custom quilting, and I put on there, Hannah used to say happy beautiful day, and so I put that in the letters of one of the blocks so that Pete's got that. As like, a real personal thing of what Hannah was, how she started every conversation as well. And anyway, Pete does this unboxing video, and I'm going to post it on our YouTube because I think it's very special to me, obviously, because his reaction was priceless. And I know that, we'll meet up later, probably in the early part of 2024, and see Pete and, have a chat with him about how he's getting on. So that was just a quick catch up on that, and let's talk about Christmas. Let's get all Christmassy. We've got, aside from the mince pies, we've got some quilt projects here. One of the ones that I've got, I'm not quite sure. Am I in the picture, or is it just this that's in the picture?
Your head's not in the picture.
That could be a good thing.
Better.
There's mixed blessings on that. So this was something that I used as a sample for a design class that I ran a few years ago. And the idea was to look at the colours and the colour spectrum and look at complementary colours and all that kind of thing. So it was actually a sample for that. But I thought, well, I might as well do something with this. Now, Pete and I are going over to Germany, beginning part of December, partly for his birthday, but also to see his son and his son's wife. So I thought this would be great to finish it off for their flat, for their apartment in Cologne. So this is the top, and then I'm going to do something with the backing. Now these are full line stencils. Okay, this full line stencil. It's a bit confusing when you get this. One of our mail order customers opened this up and couldn't understand how how it worked, because it's not like a conventional stencil where there are slots, but actually the light sections are clear and literally the chalk goes through them. So just to make it clear, you don't need to do anything else with it, than just using the pounced chalk that you'll need to use with it. So the pounced chalk is a very fine chalk. It goes into this reservoir in here. You get chalk in a separate packet for shipping, and then you fill it up, and you really do need to then charge it. So charging it like this, and it comes through on this face here. So just to show you, oh, I've got it here. So what you do is you want to basically have it come through onto the fabric, and I'll show you that in a second actually. Let's just do it on this one. Yeah. So can we see what this is doing here? Yeah, this shows up?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So I charge it up, and then I'm going to run this over the stencil. Now I'm using a piece of pre-used recycled quilt sample, because how I'm going to do this is, and there we go, there's the chalk, and that's come through. If you're using a sit-down machine like I'm going to use in a moment on the Amara ST, what you might want to do is, what I've done here is I've sprayed it with Best Press. So now that's not so easily coming off, because, let's grab this thing here, because actually if you want to get that off, it's very easy to get that off. But just in using it on a domestic sit-down, or on one of our sit-downs like this one, it can just come off more easily than you want. So I'm just going to put that back on again. We saw these guys, the full line stencil people over at Houston, and it was really good just to see how they use it. So then you just spray it with Best Press, and then that will help settle that chalk, and then you can brush it off, because when it's dry, you can brush it off. So that's what you can do. Now you might be thinking, well, why am I doing that on that side? Because actually, my piece of fabric, I was just ironing this just a second ago, only the iron wasn't on, so I'm just going to finish ironing that, and I'll show you how I'm going to do the reverse of my cushion. All right. I could use the chalk on this, but say it was even lighter, say it was a piece of cream. I'm not going to be able to see the white so easily on this. So what I do is I can quilt in reverse. So that will be the back, and this will be my quilt top. And I'm going to put that on top of there. Okay, and then I'm going to baste it down. And then I would use that side for the quilting. Okay, so this is the thing, is that if I, see, it will come off like that. I want to center that. Okay, so I'm going to baste it first using the basting function on the Amara ST. So I'm going to baste that together, then I'm going to flip it over, and I'm going to stitch through there. So once my design is on there, it's really easy to see because it's black. So if you are concerned about using something like the full line stencils, and you think, well, what if I've got light fabric? Consider using the full line stencils on the back of your quilt and quilt in reverse. So let's just have a look at that, how we might do that. I've got a sample piece here. Let's just change over chairs. If we're going to go on to this one. Do you want to move it to this side? So the colour that I would use in the bobbin and on the top would be something like this. I've done it already. I've used that exact colour on there. But one of the other things I would want to do is actually just practice this design before I stitch it. So if I wasn't sure about like the thread path and the stitch path of this, I just, look at it and go, okay, well, how am I going to stitch this? I need to make sure that I can easily do it and get back to where I started. So things like on this piece here, I'd probably do this as a come in, around and out. Yeah, so I'd go in, round, out, and I'd go over here. So, and these I'd probably do as like a wiggly line rather than circles. So you've got to think about the stitch path. And the other thing is, some of that I would do with rulers. So, you really need to audition the designs and actually think about how you're going to do the stitch path. So let's just go back along here. Now, Talen Jeffrey designed these. And so the other thing that you can do is on some of the, Talen did these. So on some of these, it's more clear than others. I'm thinking this is actually a really complex one I've picked. Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. I'm looking at it and thinking, gosh, I don't know where to start. So, let's see. I think I would do the outside of this and come back to the start there. And then each of these, gosh, you're going to have to do some backtracking here. I think I'd get my frame first with a ruler foot and then do this detail. Yeah, okay. So, what I thought was for this, I'd actually also use a bright thread so that you can see what I'm doing. So pull that up. Ooh. Okay, so I'm just going to do this as a rough for working out the thread path first. I'm going to use my sweet spots. So this, don't worry if this isn't like, let me see. Let's put it on cruise. It's not good, is it? Right, first of all, check that your machine is working. Okay. I think it's not. I might have to reboot that. I'll do it in manual for now. I think it's my, it must be my foot pedal not connected. Just turn it off and turn it on again. It looks like it's in. Let's turn it off. Turn it on again. Okay. Must be, I think maybe the connection to the foot pedal was not in. A bit like my microphone earlier. So if machines don't work, turn them off and turn them on again. That's always a good starting point. So I'm going to go up there, up there, up there, up there. Right, let's see. There we go. Rebooting, that was the answer. That's not good. I think I took my foot off the foot pedal. The one thing with stitch regulation you've got to remember is that actually you've got to just keep your foot on the foot pedal or press play. Oh, I know why I do this. I haven't got it in continuous. That's better. So I will explain in a second when I stop. Because I've been messing around with the settings there for a second. I've got it in precision mode, which is literally you move it, it moves. And I thought it was in continuous mode, which gives you a bit more of a flow. So, okay. So now I would do a few stitches in that place. I need my stylus. This is like my fingers are not very sensitive. Okay, so I need a pair of scissors, which is on the side of my machine. There we go. I've got some actually. Right. So I've just gone around, I've just done the star shape, and now I'm going to do, from the inside out, I'm going to do these other branches.
Shall I come in a little bit for this?
Yeah, why not? So, right, I'm going to go like down here. So this is my first run, down here, out to there, round, 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 and then back out to here. And then I'll continue off on that route. So, thinking this is probably very confusing. I should have done it on plain black. But I was trying to recycle and to show you that I could use this. I would always practice my design first, for sure. I'm going to go back down along here. I think I would do this with a ruler, but I'm just trying to get the thread path and just understand. Yeah, I would do this with a ruler so that I could backtrack along these, so it makes it nice and defined. Right, so I've done the middle section. Now, to do circles, you can actually do circles like this. I'm going to go back along them in a second. Like that. Right, and then come up here. It helps to reference the original. And again, I'd probably use a ruler for that section, etc. Down here. And if I wanted to, I could do stops and starts on this. There we go. Right, I'm just going to stop there because all this is basically a repetition. I do need my stylus. My fingers definitely. I think they're too cold. Probably doesn't even think it's a human. Do you think you get me a stylus actually from with one of the pens? Because I'm really struggling with it. It's not normally that bad, but I've practically got no circulation in my fingers, so I kind of like the worst person to do. They probably think it's not even human, this person it couldn't possibly be with the coldness of my fingers. I get Raynaud's, so. Right, let me just take that off so that you can see. Hopefully you can see. So I've basically done the outline, and this is just to get me the thread path. Thanks Mark. So let's just see how that looks. Oh, wrong thing. Okay, so I've done these two sections here and this bit in the middle. So that would give me enough practice to sort of give me the muscle memory. So what I would do now is I would baste this down on here with this orange thread so I can easily see it. So basting on this machine is really pretty easy, but I would loosen off that top tension by a full turn so that it's really not too tight. And then, gosh, my fingers really are cold. Where's that pen gone? Yeah, so then we go to basic, that's much better. It's actually recognizing me. Okay, so 1/2 inch basting stitch. I will do needle down, needle up, and then it thinks I'm doing more. Right, here we go. Yeah, oh, even that's not, okay. Let's do this. Right, and once you've secured it, or you could just hold it, first thing, go through the middle, horizontally and vertically. Right, let me just use that. So, and then doing it by measurement, so every 1/2 inch. And then come down here. Right, so I'll just do that 1/2. You can see the principle of it. So just creating a grid, and then with a thread that I can easily pick out. There we go. So I do this side as well. Then I change my thread. Easiest way to change thread, or when I turn my tension back, dial back. Easiest way to change thread is to cut this existing one, put the new one on by putting those two ends together and making a knot, pulling that through like so. And then when I pull it through, I just make sure that when I pull it through these tension discs, that the knot doesn't get stuck. This works if you're using the same sort of thread. And look at that, I even pulled it through the needle. I do that. So I just test the tension, and I would obviously do a little bit of testing. Now I'm ready to put my design on here, and so I can load that on and do it as I showed you. So I'd put that on, I'd have my bobbin thread filled with a similar colour, so that when I actually stitch that out, it's going to be pale blue. Turquoise. It fits in, it's actually pale blue, but it actually works really well with this colour. Okay, so I'll do that offline so that I've got, I can show you what the end result is, but that is basically the principle of it. Okay, now if you do want to do any of your own drawing, we've got these pens back in stock. These are the Bohin 0.9mm fine pens. They're really good for using on with things like the Cindy Needham stencils or regular stencils, and they come in a pack with refills, and there's loads in there. So they're back in stock. They're $12.50. Then we've got the Bohin thicker ones as well. So if you want other colours, it comes with pink and blue and the regular white, and the refills for those as well. And the nice thing about this one is it runs so easily over the fabric. And then it's even got an eraser on the other side, which you can get rid of your marks with. So if you've done your full line stencil and there's a bit missing, you can just fill it in with that. So that's the Bohin chalk markers. I thought while we were talking about Christmas, we could look at some of the other projects that I've picked up. So I'm just going to go and get those, and I'll show them here. Oh, could you get my Inktense one as well, please? So it's amazing what you find in your not quite completed projects box when you have a good look. Now this isn't one of mine, but here's an idea, particularly for those who've got Pro Stitcher. What Carolyn did, who beautiful, oh, the Inktense cushion, the one on the chair?
This one?
That's it.
Okay.
What Carolyn Clark did, she's a long armour down in Sussex, and Carolyn has done a beautiful job of this, what is a whole cloth pattern that's available on the prostitcher.com website. And she's basically shrunk it down. I think it was originally designed to be something like 20 inches square. And she's shrunk it, and it absolutely looks lovely. I don't know whether you can see about that distance. Yeah, that shows pretty well. Absolutely gorgeous. And she's done like a flange on the outside, which I think works really, really well. She's got a beautiful fabric on the back, and she's even put a gorgeous zip in. I thought that was just a flap. Wow, she's put a zip in as well. She's very talented. She's very talented. Anyway, this goes beautifully in our front room on one of the chairs in there. So thank you to Carolyn for stitching that one out. Now, Inktense. Anybody who's been to the showroom recently would have seen this one that I did with Telen Jeffrey. And this one was done with a variety of different types of medium. So you can use aloe with the Inktense pencils. You can use an acrylic fabric medium, or you can use one of the other one. I forget what the other one is. Speedball. So this is a speedball one. It's actually really kind of almost got like a plasticky feel to it. So that was one I wouldn't use again. Aloe works really well, but my favorite is the acrylic medium. So this was like a test piece that I did with Telen on the class, which is an online Zoom class. It was from a Pro Stitcher design, so we stitched that out first and then coloured it in. On the back, got a nice, it says this fabric I had for ages. It's a Nancy Crow design, Nancy Crow fabric, and I just did some free motion quilting on it. You can see that. So I thought I'd do something similar with another one that I stitched out using Telen's designs. So this is one that's work in progress that I will have for home. One tip that I do is I use these pens. I wanted to test out what my colour scheme would be. But I write down the colour number because honestly, if you have any delay in stitching and colouring, you will forget what colour went where. So actually I have a paper copy of this and I write the colour number in each of these sections so that I don't forget. And you can either do it dry or wet. And if you do it dry, like with this paler colour, then you get a much paler result. If you put the acrylic medium on first, then it becomes much more intense, as in Inktense. So Inktense pencils are a lot of fun, and I will make that into another cushion, but actually that one's for me. Hey, Christmas presents for me. This one, I found this going through my mum's fabric stash. This is a very cute little miniature. There you can see that. This was made using foundation papers from a company called Granny Nanny's, and I'm not even sure they're going still, but it was a sample in our shop for many years. So I took off the papers, and I'm now going to quilt it, and what my plan is with that. So just a thought that really, a miniature quilt makes a lovely gift. And I bought this from the the people who are quite often at the Grosvenor shows, the Burma Aid, they make these kind of hangers. So that one is going to go at the bottom. Can't hold this up. Yeah, could you hold that? So I'm going to put tabs on this. I'm going to quilt it and put tabs on it so that it hangs off that. You see that?
Yep.
So that'll be a nice one to do on a sit down. And so that'll be another one for a gift. Then this one is, again, the idea is to do things that are very manageable. Making blocks, quite often you end up with a spare one. Well, I do. You end up with fabrics that are left over. So this was a bow tie design using the Sizzix stencils, Sizzix cutting out. And the only way that I could get this to work for using a K-facet pack so that I had the right number of lights and darks was I reversed this fabric so that it actually came out nice and pale. And then I used a Pro Stitcher design that's a Harriet Carpanini design that's on the standard Pro Stitcher Premium and stitched it out using Pro Stitcher. But what I thought I'd just show you is with that, I used this backing one is another example of an old demonstration fabric that had been previously quilted. I just stuck another layer of fabric on the top, and I've just got to do that. I am not doing a zip. I will not be getting so that I ever need to wash it. And if I do, I'll just take the stitches apart. Quick project for me is one that I can do and finish without putting a zip in. I can do zips, but if I don't have to, then I don't. But what I did do was I recycled another cushion and then just stuck some more filler in it to make it fit this size. So I'm trying to reuse, recycle, all of that sort of stuff so that I've got these as gifts that hasn't involved me going out and getting a whole load of other things, that it's actually meant that I can reuse. As I say, this was a sample from a class, and I've got various other projects that are all about getting things finished. Like that was for just to show how you use Sizzix dies ages ago. It was just in my stash. I put it with I love this, the way to do this border with Pro Stitcher is, this is one of the default piano key borders. And I say it's default, it comes with it. And it's one of the Handy Quilter educators. She has like a piano key folder, and that's one of the default ones, and you just make it using a multi-point. You make 4 points, which includes the 45 degrees, and so it comes out like that. It's like a picture frame. I thought that was pretty cool. So there we go. That is that. I hope that that's given you a few ideas of small projects, ways of finishing things off. The cushion cover thing where we're quilting in reverse using full line stencils, and even though I had I won't deny, I had a few technical issues with my MRST. I think there's a plug somewhere that's not quite fully in. I'll need to check out what that is. But it's fine now. I just need to turn it off and on. Now, we were with a customer last weekend, or it's on Monday morning, and it struck me that along with another customer who unfortunately had an issue today regarding the tension discs, that something that we perhaps haven't mentioned enough is when you're threading up and you're putting your thread through the tension discs, if you don't get it through there, you get a bird's nest. Now, we talk about this on the foundation workshop, which is why we really encourage people to come. Now, the February workshops, it's just gone up. I've just put it up, but there is a slight change. They're still free, as you know, part of your purchase of the machine is for the foundation workshops to be free. But we've changed it slightly that you pay a £25 administration fee up front, which gets refunded when you attend the workshop. Okay, because for various reasons, I mean, basically, if you had to cancel more than 30 days out, we would refund it in full. But if you cancel less than 30 days, there is an administration charge for running the workshop, because actually what we have to do is allocate each of the machines, get all the fabrics loaded and everything else. And unfortunately, for various reasons, sometimes we have very late cancellations. So we've just asking for that sort of administration fee to cover that. Now, if you'd like to go ahead and book, you can use the code that you'd have got on your email. So I hope that you can join us in February, because we cover things like the flossing up and making sure that that is in your tension discs. What the repercussions are of not getting the tension discs is that you can get a bird's nest. All right, so now a bird's nest, it's fine, except sometimes you need to take the stitch plate off and get rid of the thread that's stuck in the hook assembly area. Sometimes you need to go to the back of the machine and just rotate the hand wheel. So what I plan to do after this is put a few links on the YouTube for this Facebook Live to show you the kind of things that you need to do if you get a bird's nest. What you don't want to do is actually take that hook assembly out, okay? Because the hook assembly is timed so that when the needle goes down and raises by precisely 2.2 millimeters, it hits the it goes behind the needle and just touches it. So the positioning of the hook on the shaft is in 3 dimensions. So it can basically go further or less on the shaft, and also it can rotate. So we set that timing, and if you take it off, I can pretty much say with 100% certainty you will not be able to retime it, and you'll need a 2.2 millimeter gauge, and you'll need to know how to time the machine. So please, whatever you do, if you get stuck and you end up with a bird's nest and you can't move the hand wheel, just give us a call or send us an email, and we will get back to you and we will tell you how you can get out of that situation. Most of the time, the threads will be cut using rotation of the hand wheel backwards and forwards. And usually that's not a problem. So if that has happened to you and you've found that you've resolved it yourself, fantastic. But if you haven't managed to resolve it yourself, or it happens in the future and you can't fix it, please do contact us before taking apart the machine. Because once that's happened, we really need it back to get it retimed. All right. On that happy note, it's very infrequent that happens. Most people find that if they've got a bird's nest, they can just get all the bits out, or we can guide them in how to do that, and that's all fine, hunky-dory. But on the very odd occasion, unfortunately, it does need to be retimed. But you shouldn't be scared of using the machine, that's for sure. So I am going to wrap up now. I don't know what's, oh yeah, I've been talking for a while. I'm going to wrap up now. Anything else that you can think of that I haven't said? Did I mention the mince pies?
I think we can mention the mince pies, because Catherine's been feeding chocolate cake to Pete.
Oh, Catherine.
It's not essential on install that you give Pete cake, but it always goes down quite well. So yes. I don't think we'll be too guilty having the mince pies. There's a lot of love for the cushions.
Oh, good. Okay.
People commenting that's good ideas that you've mentioned today. So, and a lot of people seem to be quite cold. So I think it's cold all over the country today as well. So it's not just
I've got
your
blue
fingers. Yeah,
I've got blue fingers. Seriously, I need to put my gloves back on. Okay, well that's really good, and I hope that the full Line Stencils demo with the best press, showing you that you can quilt in reverse, that's also useful, because I've had a number of people say, what if I've got a light quilt, or if I've got mixed fabrics or whatever? And it's always it's a good question, but honestly, just use a dark fabric on one side and a light one, and reuse these samples. You might even have some. I'm going to get on and do this now, because I feel like I've had a busy day. I'm going to sit down with a cup of tea, have my mince pie, and get on and do some quilting, and I hope you are too. So with no further ado, and on that note of getting those projects finished in time for Christmas 2023, I know lots of people who start their projects now, and they kind of, in January, they're going, okay, well, it always was a project for 2024 anyway. But I hope that's not the case, that you're able to finish off some of your projects, that you get them to people and share that love of gifting your quilts, because there is nothing quite like it. And the joy that you get from sharing those wonderful makes. So happy quilting, have a wonderful weekend, stay warm, and we'll see you next week. All right, bye now.